In the 1960s, most single-family homes sat on wide lots which allowed a wider home. This allowed more living spaces to view the large front and rear yards. In the 1980s, three-car garages became the norm. These wider homes had plenty of window area for views. The problem with a wide lot is the cost of infrastructure. Today, in most areas, the linear cost per foot of street, which includes utility mains, curbs, and sidewalks, is between $1,000 and $2,000. Most often a street is fronted by two lots. But subdividing a tract of land typically has about 25% of street either non-fronted or fronted only on one side. Factoring 25% waste in street design, and assuming the remaining is fronted both sides of the street, the cost of a 90-foot wide lot in infrastructure will be between $56,000 and $112,000. This does not include the cost of the raw land, entitlement costs, interest on construction, and the developer's desire for profits. Today, lots 90-foot wide are rare, and for production luxury single-family living lots are more in the 60-foot to 70-foot wide range. Most production builders have much of their home products ranging between 30 and 40 feet wide, situated on lots between 40 and 50 feet wide with front-faced garages. A 40-foot wide lot reduces the infrastructure costs to between $25,000 and $50,000, allowing the home to be more affordable. For the purpose of this video, we will not talk about rear-loaded alley urban homes, which can be as narrow as 20 feet wide, because they have an alley in the rear to serve a typical two-car garage and in addition a street in the front, typically on smaller blocks with more street waste, which can exceed 50%. These are not economically or environmentally feasible. Essentially, what we have done today is twist the home 90 degrees to make that wide front the side of the home, to achieve economic viability because of the cost of infrastructure. Today's builders and developers reduce value, curb appeal, and livability. Windows that used to view vast front and rear yards now look directly into their neighbors' living spaces. What little, if any, windows that are along the front of the home overlook paving and parking in close proximity. Those parked cars are not likely to be new luxury vehicles in driveways and on the street, because any nice car will be safe inside the garage, especially electric vehicles, and the workers' trucks, vans, and not-so-nice vehicles become a negative landscape feature, lowering the look and value of the neighborhood as a whole. Typically, these narrow lots also have less front yard setback, so larger vehicles parked in driveways typically block sidewalks, rendering the pedestrian system useless. The only actual space that can be viewed in these narrow homes are to the rear yard, which is typically somewhere between 15 and 20 feet deep, or in other terms, just 30 to 40 feet away from the home rear behind the house, thus sacrificing privacy. To make matters worse, a narrow and deep home typically needs more hallway length to serve access to the various rooms within a home. Excess hallway reduces space for functional rooms such as living spaces, kitchen, and bedrooms, as well as adding more wall construction. As terrible as this all sounds, there is a solution that eliminates these problems. However, it takes an entirely new way to plan neighborhoods and design narrow homes. It requires that the neighborhood be designed using coving, which is a geometrical reallocation of space made possible by land-mentor technology. Coving reduces the waste and can often achieve better than 100% efficiency of the street frontage. Remember, the typical development design has about 25% waste. Coving can reduce and eliminate it with no density loss. With coving, there are no rectangular lots, and the lot width is determined at the front setback or projected rear of the home with the greatest depth. In other words, all coved lots are larger than the minimum rectangular lot of typical design. A coved lot will be wider at the front or rear of the home. If these lots had a consistent minimum angle between the side lot lines, then the home footprint could be wider at the front or rear of the home. What this means is that a 30-foot wide home can function more like a 40-foot wide home. This is the basis for what we call architectural shaping. A wider home with a talented designer can reduce or eliminate excess hall space, making all functional rooms larger and more valuable. The home can be less deep than the rectangular home. In other words, if a 30-foot wide home can now bump out 10 foot by 20 foot at the side, the depth of the home can be 6.66 feet less, creating a larger rear yard while maintaining the construction cost of the rectangular house. It goes without saying that a wider home would have significantly greater curb appeal, along with having more functional window space to view the larger rear yards and spacious front yards that coved design provides. Speaking of windows, coved neighborhoods with architecturally shaped homes can have significantly increased view sheds from within every home compared to other designs. This value-added advantage takes a very close relationship between the home designer and land planner. A decade ago, we presented Trasona at Viura, the world's first architecturally shaped neighborhood of 1,350 homes. This is the image of what the streetscape would look like using the previous conventional layout with the existing homes being proposed. This is the image we presented representing what the neighborhood would look like during the initial meetings and approval process. If you were the buyer, given that both have the same density, same minimum lot width, Same minimums, which would you choose? Keep in mind that this cove design reduced the street length by 38% compared to the conventional design being proposed before they switched to coving. This 38% reduction equates directly with 38% reduction of utility main and sidewalk length. Now let's look at actual drone footage of the completed neighborhood compared to what we promised the county to approve the site. The added space we promised is identical with better architecture and landscaping than our images. What does it take to adopt architectural shaping? Often existing architecture can be modified to work, reducing the cost of a completely new set of plans. However, some existing layouts would need to be redone from scratch. The method requires a much tighter collaboration between architects, planners, engineers, and surveyors, which are typically non-collaborative if not combative. This requires someone to take the lead and make sure every detail is well thought out. Surveyors must stake out each building at the proper location and not flip the home to make sure viewsheds within every home is being honored. Many of the builders we are working for today are beginning to catch on. The more builders who adopt architectural shaping, the more obsolete narrow and deep rectangular homes will become. Thus, ultimately, it will be the market that encourages the transition.